Good evening and welcome back to From Day One Part 2. You may notice a little different. So that's why we'll actually have to take a moment before we get into our frauditors, auditors, and subsets tonight. And that is that we have a situation where, unfortunately, the New World got disbanded and is no more on server 87. So I had to scramble to find a new theme, and hence one of our old guilds that we were in the past, we are back with. If I find out more information on exactly why it got disbanded, I will share, but that is why we have what we have. And tonight, we go to Law Talk with Mike for a court case which involves criminal charges, civil charges, and a bunch of pit bulls. Mike, are you there? Mikey. Mikey Poo. We love you. Oh, while I try to get connected with Mike, let's hit the mailbag. To see what we've missed since the last time we've been together. Not a bad bunch of coconuts. There's our rank. And the kick was basically when it got disbanded. Alright. So, we can start ticking off some tasks. Okay, so there goes that one. That'll give us our 7. Alright, I think we're connected with Mike, are we? Let's begin.
Where exactly this stands. And I guess I would start with Mr. Bernstein, where your client's position is on this.
Your Honor, my client's position is exactly where it was last Tuesday night. She stands by the agreement that she made. She 100% believed that she had the authority to enter into that agreement. That's exactly what she wanted to do, and she stands by that today. By way of helpful proof of the court, those 4 dogs are registered under her name with the township. So there is a record somewhere officially associated with her name. And so she comes before the court today of the exact same mind that she was last Tuesday night.
Okay, the audio is awful on this for the attorneys.
Yeah, if you would, please.
And good for Judge Simpson, so you can always hear him. So I'm going to recap some of this stuff, and if you don't like it, then leave. I don't know what else to say. This is Attorney Bernstein. I happen to know a bit about the controversy. Excuse me for that. A bit about the controversy. There's some dogs. I believe there are 6 dogs. I believe they are pit bulls. And there was a couple involved. And the big issue is ownership of the dogs. And Mr. Bernstein represents a defendant in a criminal matter with regard to those dogs, namely the female. There was a male involved too. Apparently, they used to live together and have these dogs together. She has been charged with a series of criminal offenses regarding these dogs. That's where we are. And I say all this stuff because it's hard to hear him.
Have a trial is extensively discussed, and her position remains the same. She 100% believes that she had the authority to do that. This case was pending for 3-4 months, and at no time did she assert a defense that would have been on the lines of those moments. So we're here today, and that's what I have to say for her.
All right, and just so that I can clarify it, because and I appreciate that. Not only did she not assert a defense of these aren't my animals, there were affirmative statements made to the court that they were her animals. And the registration, and I wasn't clear myself whether it was through York Township or whether it was through the county, but my understanding is that they were registered in her name.
Through the county, she said.
Yes. All right. Anything from the people?
Good morning, Your Honor. I stand with Brother Counsel last time. At no time in the last 3 or 4 months was it made known by Mr. Miller and asserted by him that he was the owner of the board operation, while his girlfriend was facing 4 felony counts and then 4 misdemeanor counts for these 4 dogs. At no point did Mr. Miller, during a 6-hour hearing, where the court allowed
Thank you, Sue.
twice, because there were no objections from either party, did Mr. Miller assert that these 4 dogs at issue were his dogs. At no point did either Mr. Miller or Ms. Knoll assert that they were legally married, that would allow the court to infer that her property was therefore his property. And I also believe that this court order was pursued. Those 4 dogs, upon the court entering of that order, were submitted to the Humane Society. And the Humane Society being presented with a piece of this letter by an attorney, they're not put in a position to disobey this court order. The order was that the dogs be surrendered. They were in fact surrendered. And I don't think the court needs to clarify, certainly if the court wants to, but I think all parties involved here understood what that order was. And that's all the people have to say.
Anything, Mr. Allen?
First, I had to be early last year, so I didn't see everything that happened. I'm hearing what the order was, you let surrender the animals. That is the case. I've already had a conversation with Mr. Bernstein that, I would be amenable to dismissing my cases because, again, the township's position is always done. Moved on their problem in the neighborhood, and to the extent that the court has ordered those dogs moved, surrendered to the Humane Society, that problem may go away. The only thing that I would request, Your Honor, is I'd like to have the power, I'd like the township to have the power to enforce this court's order regarding not having any law at that property for 5 years. I believe that's what I understood from conversations with others, that's what the court's order was. So whether we do that in the context of the township's cases in some type of consent order, or if it can be included in the court's order in the state case, I just want the township to be in a position to enforce that order. They're close to the problem.
Well, and let me just say with regard, and I realized we weren't dealing with township matters, the way the court envisioned it was that the township matters and how the parties want to resolve it is how the parties want to resolve it, but would seek to enter an order basically identical to the orders that in the state matter. That's how the court saw this potentially resolving itself, so that there was no additional penalty or anything to Miss Null, but that the township or the state could enforce the provisions of the court's order.
That is worth understanding that, of course, as
Okay, so what's going on here? Just because you cannot hear the prosecutor, there are two prosecutors, one for the state, one for the township. That's because they're probably being prosecuted under some ordinance violation in addition to state law. And and the defendant in this case is the woman sitting at the table next to Sam Bernstein, who we've seen on here before. And all of this is talking about that. Now, there's also a civil matter emanating out of this same situation. And we'll hear more about that as we go. I know this is confusing. It's worse than that. There's conflicts of interest and everything else, but I'll keep it straight for you on this. We have that woman is the owner of the dog and therefore the defendant in these violations of law. These are criminal matters right now. There's also a related civil matter.
Well, let me just say that wasn't the court thing. I'm saying that I envision that that's what would transpire. I'm not saying that Mr. Bernstein or anybody was agreeing to that at all. I'm not.
So that's being looked at. We got arguments coming up, I think on the 12th.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll be able to work the details of that out before we get there.
All right.
Don't worry, this warms up.
We need to stick to the immediate issue of getting that. And Mr. Look, of course, we can always talk on the phone. I think Mr. Look did approach me about this, and at the time, it was an emotional hearing. There was a lot to get through. It just wasn't the time to. I thought that bringing sort of new ideas to Miss Null and keep talking about it. We sort of just tabled it for later. I don't like the idea of an officer just being able to go into a home without a warrant on their own initiative. I mean, that kind of thing makes me nervous. I can tell you from this Null's perspective, she has no intention whatsoever of violating the agreement that she entered into. She's not going to go out and obtain a dog tomorrow in violation of the court order. That's the last thing she wants to do. And so I think we'll just have to talk about it over the couple weeks. Maybe we just get through today first.
Oh, yeah. Again, you have to hear it comes up in a couple of weeks here. Let's just assume that that's not going to be an act carrying out for a week here.
Don't worry, the fireworks are to come.
But hopefully by that time
You need the
Now I know also that presented for my signature, I think on Friday were two subpoenas. I do see Mr. Miller in the courtroom. I don't know if they had anything new to say.
Yeah, I could be able to. Oh, you did? Oh, I did. Yeah, okay, so I'm here.
Okay, here's where things start to go sideways. And like I said, I've only been once through. But from what I see, I absolutely cannot imagine doing what this attorney is doing on any level. And she continues the rest of the day. If there's a good explanation for it, I know I got a lot of attorneys in here. Somebody please lay it on me. Judge gets upset with her, and I would too. Maybe there's stuff I don't know. I don't know all the underlying facts.
I don't know how she files an appearance. Can you see if there's an appearance in the file or in the door out there?
it's nice to get happier.
Well, I'm not clear. Which case are you trying to file?
Civil case.
I'm not clear how you file an appearance in that case.
Oh.
Under what authority you do that?
That case is not closed.
This is just really hard to get, so I'll explain it. He called the criminal matters. There's an associated civil matter. She represents the guy on the civil matter. That's not currently up because he had just called the criminal matters.
That's what I thought,
He's
Mike.
saying to her, do you have some sort of appearance on this criminal case? Which is a fair question.
Yeah, extremely.
Actually,
Well, hold
it's
on.
not closed. I apologize.
No, it's not closed, but well,
Thank you.
hold on, please. I have here what's entitled limited appearance of attorney for defendant. The only defendant I have before me is Catherine Null, who's
That right there is a bad sign, and the judge just nails her foot right there nicely. But this attorney, licensed to practice, enters an appearance, a limited appearance on behalf of a defendant. She doesn't. The only defendant in this case is the woman sitting up there, and she doesn't represent her.
Yeah, so
That
what's
is
going on, Mikey?
mind-bogglingly stupid.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It really is.
represented.
I apologize, Your Honor. That's a misnomer. You can see the verbiage of the appearance is for now, pardon, David Miller.
Well, but he has to be able to. Well, I guess you can appear for him for the purposes of the subpoena, but he truly is a non-party. I'll let you address the court. I'm not.
I think Judge
by
Simpson's
no
like,
means
what the
allow you to address the court.
fudge?
Am I by any means saying that you or your client would be a party to this action? Because you couldn't do that without a proper motion to intervene and everybody's right to be heard regarding that.
Judge is absolutely right. Right now, what we have before the court is the people of the state of Michigan versus the female sitting at the defense table. Her client, who is involved in this in a civil action, which is not currently called, she does represent him with regard to these facts, but not on a criminal matter.
So why is she still trying to butt in?
He has been subpoenaed as a witness for today's hearing. So the judge is saying, I'll allow you to address the court because you do represent a subpoenaed witness here today.
But I'll let you address the court.
Okay. Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Celeste Donna on behalf of the subpoenaed party, Mr. David Miller. I just learned that I made an issue subpoena. I was not serving anything for the record. Your Honor, property is protected by the United States Constitution, as we should all know, by 4th, 5th, 14th Amendment. G&D cases are general civil cases assigned by the Supreme Court Administrative Law. Actions pursuant to the
No, they're not. What do you mean they're assigned by the? I don't understand about that now.
As judge speak for you're an idiot.
G&D assigned by the Supreme Court Administrative Law, which has
You had me that property rights are protected by the Constitution. I can't begin to tell you how insulting that is to roll into court and say to a judge, especially a judge as smart as Judge Simpson.
as the case poses the issues. The general civil case. Actions under the Dangerous Animals Act pursuant to MCL 287.321 sec are civil proceedings. Under the Constitution, all owners must be given due process of law. With a pre-deprivation.
Counsel, before you.
Counsel, before you're continuing to be stupid, that's what I'm trying to do.
Go on. There's everybody here. Did you? I'll just quote from your client.
Go for it, Judge Simpson.
Mr. Miller specifically indicated, it's on the last page. Mr. Miller, and it's an excerpt of the transcript, and on page 8, I'll be more than happy to give you a copy to look at. If you want a copy, you can order one. But specifically states, Your Honor, those are her dogs, and she has that decision. It's not my decision about that. So you can go on, but...
So this is Simpson's way of saying, shut the hell up, you have no standing. That means you have no right to make any fuss. As these are not, according to your own client, his dogs. Kind of like the old, what is it, the Distinguished Gentleman Eddie Murphy movie. I dare you to respond.
Your client has said that.
Ouch. She's in here rattling on about the constitutional privacy rights we all agree exist. However, he's sitting there saying, I've taken testimony with regard to this case under oath, and your client says they're not his dogs. So, stop with the filibuster about property rights here. Why are you here?
Yeah, mic drop.
I did not know that, Your Honor, before.
I'm sure you did, because that's why I didn't want you to sit up here and go through the whole thing and be embarrassed by what your client has already told this court.
Okay.
Just in case you didn't hear her, she said, well, I didn't know he said that. This isn't funny, and he's getting mad, and I don't blame him. But it's funny to me, okay? It's funny you say, like, yeah, I'm sure you were surprised, and that's why I didn't want you to open
your mouth and continue to prove yourself wrong, yeah.
Your Honor, if I could continue.
I don't need a constitutional lesson on property.
But he was not advised as to the definition of owner under Michigan law for knowing voluntary.
Wait a minute, is she actually here trying to claim that the dogs are his? Is that what she's really trying to do, Mike? Because to me, and I know I did not take the bar or anything, but to me it would seem that if she wins her argument that the dogs are his and not hers, then she gets off on these criminal charges, and the criminal charges would be his to go ahead and spend time in jail for. Is she really trying to go ahead and put him in jail for this? And she's supposedly his attorney?
Where, at what point, counsel, if you're going to come here and make that argument, at what point did he ever have ownership?
Your Honor, he had ownership from day one. He starts the police report this and then goes on. The plaintiff in the GZ case has responsibility to facilitate the procedure for necessary joining to CR 2.205. That is, they are bound to include all owners.
Yes, and they did. As far as they could tell, they did.
Your Honor, the police report lists Mr. Miller of you.
Hold on.
Ms. Null made representations that she's the owner. That was backed up by her first counsel, Mr. Piotrowski, that she was the owner of the dogs. Mr. Bernstein has made representations to the court on behalf of his client that those are her dogs. He has again stated it today, and your client has said they're her dogs. And as I'm to understand, they're registered with York Township as her dogs.
That's irrelevant, Your Honor, only was filed. Registration is a ratings requirement.
Which part is irrelevant?
Licensure, pursuits.
Counsel, you need to come. You know what? If you're going to come forth to this court, you can't come through with all of these little platitudes. You've got to give me something that says he has ownership of those animals other than what would be a hearsay statement saying he's the owner of the dog. everybody has represented that she is the owner of the dog, including your client.
Which is inconvenient.
Is not exclusive.
Counsel, I'm going to tell you what. If you're going to make this argument, because you're under subpoena here, I want both you and your client put under oath. And if I find that there has been a falsehood to this court, I will take every action that comes with this room. So I think you better talk to your client before you start making these representations to the court.
Your Honor, I'm only representing what the law is.
No, you're making an assertion of his ownership. And so, counsel, before you go on, I want both you and your client sworn if that representation is going to be made to this court.
I am saying he's an owner, Your Honor.
Oh, I don't know what part of this is a bad idea she does not understand.
The bad and the idea part?
That her client owns the dogs, which A is wrong, and B is horrible for her client, as you will see.
Yes,
The judge
extremely.
is not buying it, and I can't. But she persists. She does.
The definitions of the law.
If he is going to represent to this court that he is the owner of the dogs, and you are going to make that representation on his behalf and appearing here pursuant to a subpoena that you say you weren't served with, then I want both of you sworn.
In other words, I
You wanna
want
be
you
sworn?
under perjury of law.
I was not serving the subpoena. So what
That's not the item I want you sworn for.
Are you kidding me? She's trying to dance away from the assertion that she's making. I don't care if she's actually an attorney licensed to practice, and I'm doubting it as I watch this. You roll into court with the duty of candor to the court. Period. You're not supposed to go in and lie to the court.
I thought so.
Dancing around whether or not you're sworn or served is nonsense of the first order and absolutely beneath any attorney.
You could not serve her, Your Honor. Many attempts were made. No phone calls were returned. You could not find her Clarkson address that was listed behind the PO box.
Then I'm going to go into a full hearing. Then I want your client sworn. I don't want this. I know the law. But I want him sworn. And he needs to understand clearly, counsel, and I'll give you an opportunity to speak with him, that if he makes a falsehood to this court, all the weight of all the contempt powers I have will come forth on it.
I understand, Your Honor. Your Honor, if you could allow me to see the transcript and reverse it and have it.
No, the hint wasn't subtle, and no, she still doesn't get it. Your client has previously testified that they weren't his dogs. You now want to put him under oath to say that they were his dogs. To a judge who has pre-impeached that position.
Not a smart move.
It's unbelievable. Please, someone explain to me why this is happening.
Because she's an idiot.
He was not under oath, but he made a representation to the court. I'll let you go through that with your client. Court's going to stand in recess. I'll come back.
And Judge Simpson, I think, is leaving the courtroom just so he could laugh and go, "What the fuck?" All right, we're back.
Okay, so I stopped for recess. I'm like recording this and like busy going about my day. I'm thinking, okay, surely she's calmed down. She lost her mind. She's gonna go to her client and say, "You absolutely do not get anywhere near this. You are going to subject yourself to criminal charges and maybe even contempt or perjury charges." The judge just said it, clear as a bell, on the bench, on YouTube, for all the world to see. He didn't look like he was kidding to me.
No.
All right, you can be seated. All right, we're back in the record in the cases, the various null matters. counsel.
Counsel, please read that sigh as he is done putting up with your shit. However, considering that you brought this to me, Mike, I have a feeling that she's not reading it.
Oh, she comes back.
Your Honor, may I have an objection on the record to continue down this road simply because counsel has not complied with Michigan Court Rule 2.209. She has not filed a motion to interview. She has not created grounds for her intervention, nor has a motion stating claim of defense been filed. Instead, we just have a written appearance, which, from my recollection of how this was taught to us in law school.
Oh my God, she's going on. She's kind of like lost $5,000 at the blackjack table, goes to the ATM, pulls another $20,000 out and slapping it down on the table. Not smart.
And then the appearance is gone up. So if she's going to make substantive argument and present claim of law to the court, I think that it's fair that actual parties be on proper notice by way of proper pleading filed under the court rules.
Sure. Objections noted. You can proceed.
Yeah, you can hang yourself.
Your Honor, if I did read the transcript, and I appreciate the court providing that to me. I did not have the privilege or knowledge about this transcript prior to. However, Your Honor, I do not believe my claim is properly advised as both the ownership mechanism under state law. So there was no intent to mislead. He was under a false understanding of what the law was.
Let's put him under oath. He's here subpoenaed. I want him under oath. I want to hear the statement because I
absolutely love it. She comes in with some technical BS like, oh, there isn't something, basically she comes in with an affidavit of truth. She's saying, I read the transcript.
Sovereign citizen?
Some technicality, he really didn't mean it. And he's like, I've had enough of this. Put him under oath. Let's take his testimony right here. And I'll be darned if she doesn't let him do it in a shocking display of poor judgment.
He needs to be advised, counsel, that I need my transcript back.
Hey, give me back the transcript.
Oath, and he does need to be advised, counsel, and I hope you have, that should it be believed that the ownership basis, if he's going to indicate that he owns those dogs, there's going to be a felony complaint coming down the pipe right now. I can tell you that right now. I hope you've advised him.
Your Honor, I looked at the contempt law.
How much clearer can you get? If you let your client testify right now, and we believe what he says, he will be charged with a felony. This is just the truth of the matter. He's not saying it to be threatening or nasty. He's just saying, are you serious? You're going to let this happen? Oh, yes, she is. She's encouraging it.
And I'm looking at People Who Little, 115, 662, 1982. And it's, in that case, and I'm quoting from the bench bar on criminal contempt. Quote, there was insufficient evidence of willfulness. The plaintiff withdraws guilty plea was stating that he lied to the court by misstating the facts.
I don't know why you're telling me this.
Because she's an idiot, Your Honor.
I don't see how my client would have any level of willfulness or misunderstanding of ownership.
I've not heard from your client, other than seeing a representation made by you in the cease and desist letter. I have not heard from your client. He is here pursuant to a valid subpoena. And I want him put under oath if his claim is that he owns these dogs. I intend to also put Miss Null under oath regarding her ownership of the dogs, although the representation has been made by counsel. I don't expect that to change. I've not even gotten to contempt yet.
Okay, well, Judge, I understand what I heard from the court is that a felony complaint will be coming down.
Yes, because if he is claiming to be the owner of the dogs, he's going to face the same felony complaint that she had.
I misunderstood.
And I hope he's been apprised that can happen and what the implications of that are. Because not only the felony complaint, but also the issuance of numerous citations from the township, because if he's going to claim ownership, they can issue those citations to him. So I hope he's been apprised of all of that before he raises his hand to take the oath.
I think we're all set.
Yeah. Okay,
In the face of that, I cannot believe any licensed attorney would allow their client to testify. It's not bravado. It's not nonsense. I've watched a lot of Judge Simpson. What he's saying is just plain the truth. I don't. Again, there might be some four-dimensional chess going on that I don't understand. I can't believe that this proceeds. I can't believe it. Neither can he, by the way.
Raise your hand. You solemnly swear testimony you will speak with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, nothing but
Oh my fucking god, he's there.
the truth.
David S. D-A-V-I-C. He's another term I love the
Really? Did you cause a cease and desist letter to be sent via your attorney to the Humane Society of Huron Valley? And in that letter, it is claimed that you are claiming ownership of these dogs.
I'm claiming partial ownership,
Is that what it says?
If that's the law.
Is that what it says? Get a copy of the letter from your counsel.
I don't know.
Does somebody have a copy of the letter? You have a copy of it on your computer? Thank you, Madam Prosecutor.
I don't doubt it. Bernstein's a pretty good attorney, too.
Yes, Your Honor, I just wondered again. But I do agree with that letter. She does not have the right to relinquish the dogs.
And you're saying she has no authority. So who are you partial owner with?
Well, we started with one dog.
Who are you partial owner with?
Yeah, no. You mean human? Who am I partial which dog? I don't understand. Sorry.
Dogs don't own each other. Who are you partial owners with of these animals?
No.
I'm sorry, but is that my thumbnail? Dogs don't own each other?
That might be,
Just
Mike.
watch the video to figure it out.
That was no fun.
This woman is putting a client on to produce a letter that impeaches his prior testimony in this very court and implicates him in felony charges.
You probably have to come to the side. Thank you.
Cats, cats.
Thank you, Miss Noel.
Sweet.
So, Mr. Miller, You're claiming that you are the owner of these dogs.
I wouldn't say I was the total owner of Your Honor. I claim ownership in the fact that we've been together for 12 years. The very first dog we started with, my son gave me, the female Hazel that bore the puppies. She would walk by me out of my school while I was asleep on the floor. So the animal was right there and asked me that I wanted to get the puppy to go with both. I paid for the puppy. My son gave me the father. We had the puppies together. We both thought we were owners. The only reason I kept asking numerous times while I was in charge, they told me it was because she registered. She does the computer thing. I don't do computers. She went online and registered in her name. She didn't think about putting my name on it because we know they're just our dogs. So when I had been informed that meant that they were hers legally. The only reason that statement came for me during that civil hearing. If I had understood that that doesn't mean that she's the owner just because she registered, I would have never.
Then why would you say it's her decision?
Because I was told that legally they were her dogs.
By who? By who? By who?
Either Kathleen or Mr. Bernstein. Or both of them together or
that they're her dogs.
Who was the first attorney? I do believe he told me that because they were registered to her, that meant they were going to prosecute her. I asked numerous times why I wasn't being prosecuted.
So you're claiming ownership of these dogs.
I'm claiming co-ownership. I don't know how this works.
Does the letter sent by your attorney indicate co-ownership?
I believe it.
Does it indicate co-ownership?
When I just read it, it seemed to me. It said
does it indicate? Look at the letter.
You doesn't have the word deed.
No, look at the letter. Does it say, Mr. Miller?
Oh, yes, sir.
Does it say that you are co-owners of those dogs?
That's the only way I would.
Does it say that?
In those words.
Does it say that?
No, sir, those words it doesn't.
It does not say that, does it?
Not in those
In
words.
fact, what it says is that you are the owner of those dogs.
It says she would.
Does it say you are the owner, Mr. Miller? Answer my question. Does it say that you are the owner of those dogs?
To me, it said there, I'm the co-owner, sir. I'm sorry, I don't know what you want me to say.
I want you to read the letter
Yes, sir.
and tell me what it says. Does it say you're co-owner?
Place an objection with all due respect to the court. The letter speaks for itself.
You can place whatever objection you want, counsel.
Okay, just don't want to.
It's like
I don't care.
It's like you opened this can of worms here, counsel.
I want to see does the letter say you are the co-owner?
It says she doesn't have the right to relinquish my, does not have the authority to relinquish.
Does it say you're the, Mr. Miller, does it say that you're the owner or co-owner?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, you want me to say something? I can say it doesn't say either one.
Does it say that you are the owner of those dogs?
It refers I have ownership, yes, sir.
Miss No?
Yes, ma'am.
Who owns those dogs?
I'd say we both do. Legally, they are registered in my name.
How long will it take you to get the felony complaint here?
About 30 minutes.
All right. Court's going to adjourn for 30 minutes. Then I'll arraign it. We're staying in recess.
All right.
Mikey?
You can't handle the truth. I can't believe it. I can't believe you just did that. The owners of these dogs,
I have to.
These dogs have civil liability and criminal liability, and anybody who owns them is entitled to. This woman just came on the stand to say, "I own these dogs," and did a bad job of that.
There's call the case of the people state of Michigan versus
Here they come. I thought
David Stephen Miller. Council, state your appearance for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Celeste Dunn, on behalf of the defendant, Mr. David Miller.
You ready for a reading of the complaint, or would you like to?
Your Honor, I don't
Yes,
know.
absolutely.
That's the way it's been this day. So what I'm going to do is,
I mean, at what point does this client realize that she's not looking out for his interests? He walked in today a free man, and he's now facing charges. Unbelievable.
I will indicate that the complaint alleges that on or about August 24th, 2021, location of Dorado Court and Cordova Drive, York Township, Washington County, State of Michigan, that on that said day, count one alleges that the defendant was the owner of Brutus, a brindle male pit bull, a dangerous animal that attacked Carol Campbell and caused serious injury contrary to Michigan statutes. That is a felony, punishable by up to 4 years incarceration, $2,000 fine plus court costs, and up to 500 hours of community service. Count two alleges that on that same date and at that same time, that the defendant was the owner of Coco, a brindle female pit bull, a dangerous animal that attacked Carol Campbell, caused serious injury, contrary to Michigan statutes. That is a felony, punishable by up to 4 years incarceration, $2,000 fine plus court costs, and up to 500 hours of community service. Count three alleges that on that same date and at that same location, that the defendant was an owner of Hazel, a female pit bull, or a dangerous animal that attacked Carol Campbell, caused serious injury, contrary to Michigan statutes. That is a felony, punishable by up to 4 years incarceration, $2,000 fine plus court costs, and up to 500 hours of community service. Count four alleges that on that same date, at that same location, that the defendant was the owner of Scooby, a tan and white male pit bull, a dangerous animal that attacked Carol Campbell, caused serious injury, contrary to Michigan statutes. That is a felony, punishable by up to 4 years incarceration, $2,000 fine plus court costs, and up to 500 hours of community service. Count five in the alternative alleges that the defendant was the owner of an American pit bull terrier, a dangerous animal that attacked Carol Campbell, caused serious injury, contrary to Michigan statutes. That is a felony, punishable by up to 4 years incarceration, $2,000 fine plus court costs, and up to 500 hours of community service. Count six alleges that on that same date, at that same location, that the defendant was the owner of an American pit bull terrier, a dangerous animal that attacked Carol Campbell, caused serious injury, contrary to Michigan statutes. That is a felony, punishable by up to 4 years incarceration, $2,000 fine plus court costs, and up to 500 hours of community service. The court.
Mike, are you still there? Even though this list is like who's who of what stupidity that that your defense attorney has brought to you. Mikey. One second, let me see if I can get reconnected with Mike.
Would note that the allegations in the swear out indicate that there was at least 4 animals that are alleged to have been involved, that the additional 2 complaints of unnamed dogs are will be subject to a determination as to whether or not they were the dogs that were involved. So, in essence, the 2 were filed in the alternative. Is that correct, Madam Prosecutor?
Correct, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mike?
Oops, unbelievable. This guy just ate 6 felony counts because he listened to this attorney.
As to that complaint, how does client wish to plead? Defendant, standing mute. Court will enter not guilty plea. Set probable cause in this matter. We realize you have scheduling issues and we will try to work around them, but at this time I'm setting it for April 7th, 2022 at 9 a.m. Those are via Zoom, so I don't. Okay, but I'm setting it. I have certain time limits I have to set it on unless you're going to waive the time limits. Yes, all my PCCs are via Zoom.
Okay, so that's
As to the preliminary examination, would you like that set now, or do you wish to?
I would like it set now, Your Honor. I know that I'm going to waive the time limit.
All right, then you get April 12th. April 12th, 2022, and I will set that in the afternoon. I got a morning doctor at 3:30.
This is scary.
Extremely.
We'd like to set our exam for the same day as well.
I would have liked to have set them both for the 26th, but they don't want to waive the time, so I'm not going to. Yours are just have to take place at a different time.
Just so you guys know, time basically says that any criminal charge that is charged has to be done in a timely manner. The timely manner is what the judge is running up against. If she waives, then she can set for a later date, but if it's timely, it's got to be done within a specific time frame due to state law.
I don't know. Do you wish an in-person preliminary examination or via Zoom?
In person.
In person. And that is before me.
If the person here is going to get it on something, I don't want to Zoom, but.
If it's in person, everybody's got to be here. So if you want to pay that courtesy, then you need to pay that courtesy. But if we're going to be doing these on 2 separate dates, then that's the way we're going to have to do it.
Oh, yeah. What they're suggesting now is that we're going to set 2 separate dates, one for her, one for him. I mean, they used to be a couple. That makes a lot of sense. Let's drag and in person instead of in Zoom. Let's get your client charged with 6 felonies, demand an in-person appearance, not be available for any of the dates, and not be available for the date when the co-defendant is there. Oh my Lord! Again, I leave open, and I feel bad because I'm usually not this critical of somebody, but I can't believe this is happening. If there is some grand thing that I'm missing, somebody please explain it to me in the comments or in the chat. One of the reasons why I don't know as much, I just heard about this case today, and it's a complicated matter. But I also am confident in Judge Simpson, and he wouldn't be this way unless somebody really earned it. And boy,
she earned it.
Has this attorney earned it? I can't believe this happened. It goes on. I think I'll cut it off here. Why don't I just do this? I think I'll cut it off here. It goes on, and I would actually go through it with you and explain how ridiculous her arguments are. It goes to the civil matter, and then she sort of tries to do a sort of an oral motion to dismiss that is terrible. It's absolutely awful. And the judge denies that and just says, whatever, I'll see you later. And it's good, but I had to crank it up, and it's intricate. So it probably wouldn't be very entertaining to see. But this hearing goes on. First of all, this is selected bits out of about 3 hours of court time.
3 hours. We've been going for what, 50 some odd minutes?
What she accomplished is she showed up with an attorney that was subpoenaed as a witness that nobody was calling, so he didn't even have to testify. Managed to barge in without an appearance, offend the judge, and make this assertion that A, is probably not true, but B, if it is true, gets him
6
exposure
felonies
for perjury and contempt, and also exposure for 6 felonies, which she does manage to get him arraigned on the same day. Now, she's a civil attorney. I don't know if she just entered an appearance for him on behalf of him as a criminal defendant in this dog case now. I have no idea. It's mind-blowing. I've never seen anything like this. I've seen a lot of weird stuff. The fact that there's a civil case emanating under the same fact pattern as a criminal case, see it every day. The fact that there's a conflict, and you guys didn't see this part, but they're going around the public defender's office to appoint Sam Bernstein because it makes the most sense, see it. The fact that you're making constitutional arguments, see it all the time. An attorney, despite the judge's warning, clear and obvious warning in open court, don't let your client testify because you're exposing them to criminal liability, and she proceeds with it. I've never seen anything like it. My first theory, and it's kind of being blown up, I'm actually working, this is like a legal game of Clue right now. It's actually working out, and I'm working out in the comments, but this actually came from Griggsy where he said that she's got animal law on her thing. My first theory, and I wasn't sure, is that she was hired as an insurance defense attorney, and she came in for the insurance company, and she just didn't care what happened to the client because she was trying to defend the insurance company's interest, which would be unethical and everything. But apparently that's not what's going on. I could see that would make sense, although most attorneys wouldn't throw their license away like that. I mean, it's clear conflict of interest if that's what you're doing. I mean, from an insurance perspective, these dogs attack somebody and hurt them. That's what the civil liability is for. I don't know if there are other civil claims, but that's the one that they were discussing today. And that would mean that they're defendants in the case. And from an insurance perspective, that'd be great. Let's get some more people. Let's implicate some more policies. Spread the blame, all that kind of thing. Who cares? Also, him claiming that it's his dog. I mean, maybe getting her client charged. Lord, I wouldn't. I mean, an insurance company would love to say it was a criminal act, and therefore it cuts off causation. I mean, this is getting way too deep, but that's the sort of thing an insurance company is not above. But the attorneys who don't want to lose their licenses usually wouldn't do that for the insurance company. Yeah, so you could say, well, he intentionally had these dogs attack somebody, and then there would be an intentional acts defense, and that gets you out of accidents and things like that. That would be an exclusion under the policy. Right. Oh, Lord, I'm getting way, way, way law nerdy now.
No, go right ahead.
But I'm literally – these are just sort of it's my second impression. I half watched it while I was very busy today.
Right.
This I am watching through again. It still is not explained to me. I cannot imagine an attorney taking the actions she did today. Letting your client testify in the face of a judge saying, don't do it, nothing good will come of it. And then having your client testify and having the exact outcome that the judge warned you about. I would not want to be in that position. This is one of the I guess it isn't funny, and Judge Simpson's can be very funny. He actually laughed a couple times today in odd moments, but he's just irritated that with what's going on here. This is a serious matter. He also takes it very seriously. You can see that he's somebody got injured. There are animals involved. There's all sorts of stuff. This is not lighthearted stuff. He wants to get to it, and he's getting shim-shammed on who owns what when. It's irritating. And then the condescension of like the attorney trying to pretend like Judge Simpson doesn't know what's going on when clearly she's the one who doesn't know what's going on. That it's hard to watch, but entertaining. I don't know what's going to happen here, but this is a train wreck. It is.
All right, please keep us informed, Mike. if you find out anything more about this craziness. And with that, we will bring part 2 to a close. And we will go ahead and be back with the overnight for our next episode. Like, share, and subscribe. Get us to the goal of 50,000 views. 1,000 subscribers. So box over an extra census of those nice red packages for us to send to you. And Google, pays attention to us. CoinBase, Ibotta, and Gain.gg are all available. Get your free money by signing up and by either doing Coinbase Learn, 2-minute lessons, 1-question quizzes for crypto, shopping through Ibotta, or filling out surveys, watching videos, downloading apps to your mobile device, whether it be Android or iOS, to get free money through Gain.gg. So until next time, like, share, and subscribe, be kind to one another, and it's always great to release the Krakens. Can't really put that front tag on it anymore, as we'll be back in the overnight with Art Bell as we march along here from day one. Have a great evening. We'll see you in the overnight.